Hi everyone, my name's Courtney Davis and welcome again to Spirit of Celtia. In the early days I went through a kind of apprenticeship with the MERLIN energy, and one of the main lessons that I learned was to give myself up entirely to this new world of free flow, letting the art express itself purely without my input to obstruct its progress. Now my life has been pretty traumatic over the years, but no matter how stressful the period Courtney was going through, at the drawing board, the sacred space, I kept open to the universe expressing itself through my pen and my brush. In 1986, I was living in HORUM in Suffolk and I just completed the Celtic Art source book. The book was entirely created on a small wicker table, and that was my drawing board and my studio at the time. About that time I was contacted by the author of the Prediction Tarot Pack, a really fascinating guy who, like me, was working on various different interesting projects at the time. His main interest at our meeting was to put forward the idea to collaborate on a Celtic tarot together. Now I knew absolutely nothing about the tarot, and so it was a hard sell, but eventually I agreed, and that would become another story. Now there was a project he showed me that really struck a chord in me, and this involved the sword Excalibur and a square block of stone with certain symbols carved upon it. He explained that they were invocations, and the idea was that when connected, the two elements together would create some kind of powerful energetic force. Now even though we didn't discuss that idea any further, it did ignite a spark in me to do something with the idea. So I later decided to work on a series of paintings with this project in mind, and I would call it Excalibur, the Rock and the King. I try to be very honest with these videos, and I can imagine that some things I share might sound a bit delusional, but I've been blessed with so much magic in my life, good or bad. It's been a full life. I was really fired up for this project. It felt like I was being driven to create this art, so I suggested to my wife that she let me use her family's rather run-down caravan that was on a site in the seaside town of Southwold on the North Sea coast, and to do a retreat there for 7 days and see what would happen. It was late afternoon when I was dropped off, and as soon as I was left alone, the impulse to start creating began immediately. Those 7 days were very intense, and in fact a bit of a blur. I'd imagined there to be 3 paintings, but actually it turned out as 4. The connection was extreme, and I later took it as the completion of my MERLIN apprenticeship. Now at this time, I'd been getting a strange sensation of deep pressure in the palms of both my hands, and this would build up and start to move in a spiral rotation, and would often become quite hot. I never understood why this happened, and after a year its regularity ceased, and up to the present day it just comes and goes. I was never given an explanation, but was thankful that it never became a stigmata. So I worked ceaselessly day and night. My light moved from bright sunlight to low wattage bulbs at night. I roughed the 4 out in the evenings, then got down to working on detail and finishing off each piece in the daylight. I never saw the sea at all in that time. I lived on tin rice pudding and chips. Getting a bag of chips each night was my only excursion out. I was still in the process of creating my style, so each painting felt experimental. I never had any art training, so I explored different techniques, anything that come to hand, including my toothbrush. Although the paintings were simplistic in my mind, to my later art, They have always held a very special place in my heart and that magical time. I would later create a further 4 projects on Arthurian legends over the years. It's funny, what I actually know of Arthur and the legends could be put down on a post-it note. It's purely a matter of turning the cosmic tap and letting the source flow. Now, the Merlin energy I talk about, for me, has actually no connection with Arthur and the legends. I've called it Celtic sometimes, but over the years I've stopped labelling it, and it's always been more about trusting the connection in its fullness and letting the divine guide my pen and my brush. Thankfully, there were no smartphones to distract me while I was working on this project, so the time was spent fully taken up with just being in the space. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed to this channel. I have a growing folder of other videos I'm actually working on at the moment. Lots of love to you all, and from me and Tara, may all your lights shine.